Hello friends, brothers and sisters. It's really good to see you guys today. I am Melissa, and I am a grieving mother, and welcome to my channel. I'm going to just jump right into it, friends, like I always do, just kind of get right into it. Definitely before the nerves take over for me. But today I'm talking about feeling crazy in grief, and particularly with teenagers. We lost our two youngest children, Noah and Sophia, 4.5 years ago, to an awful, awful death, very traumatic, awful death at the hands of their oldest brother. And so there's a lot of things that our family is navigating, to say the least. Mental health illness is definitely the number one thing. And we still have two teenagers at home, a 16-year-old and an 18-year-old. And a lot of the times they do feel crazy, just like us adults do in grief. And they say I don't feel like me. That's how they describe it. Just as simply, I don't feel like me. And in my previous video, I talked about giving teens the space to grieve, Forgive me, I do have my notes for those of you who are new with me today. It's what I call the grief brain. And so, I like to write my things down. And I, for some reason, always feel a need to explain that too. I guess just to explain why I'm always looking down, I guess. I don't know. But teenagers need time alone when they're hurting. They do. And in the same way, they also need to stay connected to people who are helpful to them in their grief, right? In this grief process, this adjusting process. I use the word adjusting more than I do healing, until I can find a better way to conceive or perceive healing in my mind. Healing has always been something that heals, right? And we tend to think of it as it's good as new again, or pretty equivalent. So that's why I don't really like the word healing in grief, especially the loss of my two children. But anyways, with teenagers, we can help them find this balance. We can. I know the enemy's extremely good at lying to us, whispering those lies to us as their parents, teachers, pastors, whoever we are to the teenager, that we don't make a difference at all, and that, we can't help them, but we can. Even though we're broken, we still can. I'm experiencing that in my own family. I'm going to read some things again from the Grieving Teen's Heart, like I do. Just they're quotes from them, from their hearts. And this one is regarding the topic of feeling crazy. So I just find it helpful if we can just hear from their hearts, hear straight from the teen's heart, the thoughts that are going through their minds early in grief, later in grief, and loss, deep separation. Divorce is definitely one for teenagers, the loss of a parent, one thought is, I don't feel like me anymore. I'm off, out of sync, weird. Another thought is, maybe I'm losing it. Nobody makes sense. Am I going crazy? Yeah, I know that one. I do know that one. You're dead. I'm not. What do I do with that? I'm alive, but I feel half dead. Yeah. I feel crazy sometimes. It's embarrassing and scary. I'm terrified and don't know what to do. I can't tell anybody this. Who knows what they'll do if they think I'm crazy? Lock me up? Drug me? Maybe that wouldn't be so bad. Another thought, I still have dreams, good ones and bad ones. You die over and over and over again. I've accepted it, at least in my mind. My brain knows you're dead. My heart isn't there yet. but my brain keeps dragging it out of hiding and into reality. On the inside, I'm bruised and bleeding. Maybe I am crazy. Maybe I need help, real help, serious help. Another thought is, my brain is there and my heart is here. What does that mean? Am I schizophrenic or something? Am I sick? Another thought, I don't want to be sick, but I feel so different from everyone else. I don't feel anything close to normal, whatever that is. Another thought, I lost you. I'm not who I was, but I don't know who I am. Another thought, how do I do this? If I'm going crazy, what does that mean? How do I find out? Do I want to find out? Who knows about this stuff? Who can I talk to? How do I know anyone is safe enough to talk to? From a teenage heart. I'm losing it. My brain is on fire and it lights up my whole body. I'm confused all the time. Everybody else is moving along just fine while I'm stuck in this pit. I live a different life in a different world, like some sci-fi movie, and waking up in this alternative universe. Everybody looks the same, but it's not. How do I function? Who am I now? What kind of world is this? What are the rules? Another thought, sometimes I think I'm losing it. Heck, maybe I've already lost it. I don't know what's what anymore. Maybe I'm crazy. That would be just great. You die, I go crazy. Maybe I died with you and all that's left here in this alternate world is my outer shell. And I can relate to that teen's thought. A shell, yeah, that's what I feel like. Hard, empty. I can't tell anyone about this. No one is safe enough. What do they do with crazy people anyway? Lock them up? Medicate them? Make them see a shrink? So another teenage heart, different from the other one that had a similar thought to that. And this one was a boy that I just read. The previous one was a girl, I believe, yeah. Another thought from a teenage boy, actually. I need to make a box for this in my brain and label it crazy. I'll drop all these thoughts in there, slam the lid shut, and put it away. Another thought, yeah, I need to lock this stuff up. I feel pretty locked down anyhow. It doesn't feel good, but at least I feel a little in control. A little. In grief, we strive for control where we can find it. That's for sure. Another thought is, crazy Brad. Maybe so. You know. Don't think, don't feel. Put it in the box, lock it away. From another young teenage boy's heart. You know, friends, feeling crazy is common in grief. It's common, you know, and when I talk to other grieving parents specifically who've lost their child or children, they feel crazy too. Yeah. And I definitely don't mean to offend anyone with that term. You know, I really don't. Just everything feels so jumbled up in grief. So jumbled and mixed up, and we really just have a hard time understanding which end is up. You know, we do. In our world, it has just been altered forever. In an instant. In an instant. I mean, death is so instantaneous. It is so fast, it's the blink of an eye. And they're gone. And there's no reversing that. And in that moment, immediately our world has been altered. It has. Things look the same, life goes on, but we're not the same, and our lives have in many ways have grounded to a stop. They really have, friends. Teenagers feel the same way. You know, it's like someone reached down and pushed the pause button on our existence. Like we're just stuck there on October 17th, 2017. You know, when grieving, life is often in slow motion for us grievers. It is, you know, and so we see the world around us going extremely fast-paced, and I just don't feel like I can keep up at all. Not even close. I can't keep up to the routines that my other friends do, their work schedules, life. I feel 30 steps behind everyone now. Everyone. You know, we move in and out of shock, denial, anger, anxiety, fear, sadness, depression, and acceptance. I lost my parents a year ago, 3 months apart. My mother died December of 2020, and my father died March of 2021. 3 months to the day they died apart. My mother lived with us for 3.5 years before she died. It's a big change. It's a gigantic change. She, you know, her bedroom in here had to be changed. I mean, it's all of it once again, you know, and it's hard, and and we move in and out of. My mother had heart failure. Trying to accept the terms of those things, and with my father with his lung cancer, and we move in and out of those things, in and out. I never move into accepting the death of my children very well. Like, my brain understands these teens, like we understand our brain, they're not here. You know, I'm not out shopping for Noah and Sophia to try to, you know what I mean? Like, it's not those kinds of things. Like, I get it. They don't have a bedroom. They're not physically here. I can't even call them on the phone. It's not like they're at a relative's house on an extended vacation, you know, none of that kind of stuff. So it's a lot of denial, a lot of shock, you know, and then I guess maybe acceptance of my grief, acceptance that they are not here, and so that greatly has changed and affected me and my husband and our children, our teenagers, and everyone in our lives who knew Noah and Sophia. Yeah. You know, we wonder what happened. Our emotions are all over the place. And we just wonder, like, who the heck are we now? What, you know, really? And we literally do not feel like ourselves. And death abruptly has reminded us of our own mortality. It has made it like just extremely glaringly obvious. It has, friends. It has. You know, and we have lots of questions that arise from way deep down within. Questions that, you know, are very difficult to even speak out loud. You know? Questions like, how much did they suffer? How much did they hurt? How much were they aware of what was happening to them? You know? Lots of questions, and our teenagers have them as well. They do. What is life really? You know, the teen is wondering right now, what is life really? You know, the sheer volume of emotional upset in their life and the change in these teenagers' lives, it is staggering, friends. Really. I mean, it feels and looks so insurmountable, you know, so no wonder they feel crazy, no wonder I feel crazy, or we're all coming unhinged and unglued. really, you know. And teenagers, they're like normally immersed in an identity crisis anyways on a good day, you know, and they are always desperately trying to figure out, you know, who they are and their place in the world. They are. And then death or the departure of a loved one invades their life. They didn't want this. You know, it was thrust upon them. They didn't want this. And the sense of being acted upon, powerless and out of control, it can be so very huge, immensely so. They have been thrown into a crazy ass situation, guys. Extremely. So no wonder they feel nuts. No wonder we feel nuts. This is a crazy ass situation. For my oldest son to be in prison for 96 years for murdering his little brother and sister. That is a crazy ass situation that is extremely unnatural, unfathomable, and beyond description. It is. It is. Oh, it is. The Lord Jesus, like I say, keep saying at the end of all my videos, he tells me, you can make a difference, Melissa. You can make a difference. His spirit lives in me. So it's not me doing this. It is his spirit doing this, making a difference for these teenagers in our home. Yeah, you know. I need to, number one, be aware that grieving people, okay, especially teenagers, they're going to usually feel crazy at some point. So we just need to be aware of that, okay? So that doesn't come such a shock to us when we hear them use their teenage language of describing that they feel crazy or their behavior, showing that too, okay? Teens already feel different, and the roller coaster emotions of grief put them even further on the outs in their own minds, okay? So they might tell you they're fine, but they don't feel fine, and they're probably questioning their sanity. Ask them. Just ask them. I bet you'll be surprised to find out. Or maybe you won't be, because I'm warning you, they do feel surprised. They feel crazy. They do. And they're wondering, who are they and what's going on all around them, you know, because my teenagers sure do, you know. Secondly, know that teens aren't nuts. Just know that they are not, though, you know, but are being intensely challenged by an extremely difficult and crazy ass situation. I mean, this is a big challenge for our teenagers. Okay, so our goal is to, if possible, just to help them shift from, am I nuts, to how do I handle all this craziness? Okay, so that's just our goal, to shift that focus from, am I nuts, to how do I handle all this craziness, and acknowledge this is all crazy, this is all unnatural, this never, ever, ever should have happened. You know, and yeah, we bring the issue up. That's how we simply help them. Like I said, ask them. We bring the issue up. Don't hide from it or ignore it. They're already feeling crazy, so bring it up. Like I said, you know, life can be crazy. And grief definitely is. The whole thing about grief is just nutso. Okay, we get to figure out how to deal with this craziness as best as we can. Simple as that. It's like not, you know, and I literally, every morning, the Lord wakes me up, literally 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, and I have to spend a few hours with him, you know, to sort out my own craziness, just to get his perspective on my day and my situation. And every day, re-give it to him every day, re-pouring out my heart, my hurt, my anger, you know. And I really, really want to be a good mom. I really do. I really want to be a good wife. I really want to be a good friend. I do really want to be a good sister. And I don't like being at odds with my sisters. You know, a good daughter. even though my parents aren't on earth anymore. Yeah, I don't want to grow weary in doing good, but my grief, boy, sometimes it overtakes us. And I can see it overtakes our teens too. And then sometimes we do get tired of doing good, But we just try to figure out together the best that we can how to deal with all these crazy situations. And, and life still is crazy, like we still, have trials and tribulations. Life didn't stop with none of that. We still struggle to pay bills and rent and groceries and so on and so forth, and have had other deaths in our families and arguments and tensions. And so, just trying the best I guess we can together, with Jesus mostly, really, with him as the driving force. He gently leads those of us who have young. He gently leads me as a mother to the heart of my kids. He created their hearts and minds. He knows exactly how that teenager feels and the best way to love them and help them. He does. He does. And each teenager is unique. Similar, yet unique. One of a kind. Their grief is unique also. So thirdly, remember not to attempt to go this alone. Really, go to God. Let God help you with your teenager. Let him reveal, love, support, strengthen you and your teenager together. Pray for your teenager. Do not give up in prayer. Man, all the battles won in prayer. It is. Persevere in prayer. Persevere in communicating and talking to the Lord for your teenager. And we have to remember, I am not the sole source of wisdom and assistance for their life. Like I said, all the knowledge of wisdom is hidden in the Lord, Jesus. So he will provide that for us. And he does so lovingly, whether it's through, family members who are loving and accepting, friends who are supportive, teachers, counselors, pastors, we can kind of maybe say to ourselves, who else does this teenager need to be connected to? Right? Who else can meet and love them where they're at in meaningful ways that'll help them? Right? Those are some questions you could probably ask yourself and probably find some answers to that, to some other people in these teens' lives. Most importantly, the Lord. The Lord will love them, does love them right where they are. And we have grief groups, grief counselors, past therapists, just to name a few. I mean, my goodness, I'm sure, But again, the teens may not have access to these people or even need all these people either. So that's why it's so important to go to the Lord about your teenager, your child, because it's not a one-size-fits-all approach for every teen. Even in the same household, what may be beneficial for one teenager is not necessarily going to be beneficial for the other. We need wisdom in that area as parents. We do. We greatly do, It's good to keep in mind, however, that we don't have to go this alone, and that the Lord will provide us other resources to help us with our teenagers, And fourthly, lastly, know that we live in a crazy-making world, broken, fallen, in decay. It is, friends. It is. The sheer amount of negative, traumatic, and sometimes contradictory information, right, falling down upon us can strip us of our sense of competence, safety, and security. Yeah, it sure does. It's just the sheer amount of negative, traumatic information, and it's sometimes contradictory, right? And also we will all, unfortunately, face more losses and deaths in the future, unfortunately. So, how my husband and I, how these teenagers process and deal with this loss will greatly influence how they handle the next one. So, the Lord told me, Melissa, you're not in charge. You're not in charge. I am not in charge of what choices my teenagers make. This is so important, I think, for all parents to hear this, because this is true for you too. This wasn't just for me. I know the Lord doesn't tell me things just for me in my little old small little corner of the world, in my little household. I believe it's for the masses. I believe it's for the other believers and for the masses. It's for us all. It is for us. So we're not in charge. You are not in charge of the choices your teenagers make, okay? But we can love them. I can love my teenagers toward making the best choices possible with the experiences and resources available to me. So let's just keep that in mind as parents. Our experiences and what resources we even have available plays a role in helping our child. But we are not in control of the choices they make. Not by the time they're teenagers. That job and that role was already over. The planting of the seed, all that, the harvest, the fruit's coming out as teenagers. It's not normally ever the right kind of fruit. So it's kind of like, as parents, we're like, whoa, that's not what I planted. Kind of a thing. Just be patient, because we were thorns ourselves as teenagers. We were too, and in the meantime, the Lord, I know that's why the Lord meets with me every morning, because it's so important to keep a watch on myself and my own life and my spirituality. The healthier I am, the more health, safety, and sanity I can promote in my own teenagers' lives. And I'm sure that it goes without saying. Obviously, health breeds health. And it's very hard in grief. Very, very hard. There are many days where I don't take good care of my health. I just feel no good to anybody, and I'm unable to be of any good to anyone. My husband steps in on those days. It's like we have these opposite days of these things. And then sometimes it's the same day, and so it just seems like the whole house is in a dark room, But that's being human. That's being real, and that's our life in grief, But what we're just trying to understand that the healthier we can be, maybe the more safety and sanity that we can promote in our teenagers' lives. For them. We care very, very, very much for them. We love them extremely deeply, and it burdens my heart that they have not been able to do a normal teenage life, but yet have had to grow up through teenage life with heavy grief. That's a heavy burden on my heart for them, But yeah, that motto they put, we've seen it all, right? I must take good care of myself. I'm no good to others if I don't. That's the truth. But we work at it the best we can. And some days I am absolutely zero use and no good to anyone. And that's okay. That's grief. That's grief. Grief can make teenagers wonder if they're crazy. Just remember that. Their world has changed. No wonder they feel as they do. Well, brothers and sisters, once again, my goodness, how good it is to share my heart with you. I pray this encourages you in your walk with your teenagers, in your grief, in your loss. So I'm going to get back on a rhythm. I know this week was a little funky with videos. I normally load them Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays. So I'm doing my best to get back onto that schedule, friends. So.